Hej allihopa och välkommen till en helt ny reaktionsvideo, tisdagsvideo då hörni. Förra veckan var jag lidande på grund av att jobba mycket ute och det varit långa pass så att orken fanns inte när man var hemma. Tyvärr, så är det. I övrigt lite uppdatering angående det vi beställde från England. Tanken är ju faktiskt den att vi ska göra egna spökvideos. Det vi ska prova på i alla fall. Så att och grejerna fastnade i tullen först och främst. Och det var 2 paket. Ett paket har kommit fram, det har vi fått. Det andra paketet slarvade Postnord bort tydligen. Efter att tullen släppte det. Så att det har gått tillbaka till England och de har fått tillbaka leverantörerna. Så att de i sin tur ska skicka tillbaka förhoppningsvis den här veckan. Så att vi får väl det förhoppningsvis så fort som möjligt så vi kan köra igång någon gång. Annars, ja, vi gör som vanligt tycker vi drar inte ut på det. Vi ska se KingFrostMare idag. Vi ska se en video som heter 10 skrämmande videos du inte kan titta på ensam. Så gör som vanligt. Poppa lite popcorn förresten. Hoppa upp i soffasäng, dra på dig filt, gör det mysigt och så släck ner belysningen. Höj volymen på max för nu jäklar. Nu bär det av. Nu kör vi. Då så, då tar vi 3 djupa andetag och så tycker jag vi rullar klippet. Kör vi!
The following is a recording which was uploaded by Equitum Duetto Paranormala, and it was a live stream recording that was shared by a young man. He woke up to really unsettling noises in the middle of the night that were stemming from the lower floors of his house. At least this is what he believed at the time. He states that nobody else was in the residence besides his partner and their 2 cats, and the 4 of them were all situated on the upper floor. Let's see what was going on that night.
Otra vez. Ay, perdón. Otra vez, hija. Otra vez empezaron a escuchar los ruidos. Los gatos están aquí en el
Vad
cuarto.
dålig kvalitet det var.
Espérame, voy a bajar. Tranquila, despierta bien. Voy a bajar. Voy a bajar, a ver, espérame. No, tranquila.
The young man makes it downstairs, and he expected to see several items lying around on the floor.
Ten mi celular a la mano con el número de la policía. ¿Quién está ahí? Tráete mi celular con el número de la policía. ¿Quién eres?
They give it a very thorough search, but can't find any misplaced items on the floor, or anything else that appeared off, which was strange. After all these noises, you would think to find something, right?
Eller så kanske spöket ställer tillbaka den. Jag vet.
Confused and very tired, they decide to make it up to the bedroom again. After all, there wasn't much they could do at this point. The young man even states that this place had been blessed by a priest before, so all of this was really strange to them. Of course they had trouble falling asleep that night, and it was shortly after that the activity continued. So they blessed the whole house by themselves, to hopefully find peace that night. But no such luck. Now, look at what happened next.
No tienes cabida en este hogar. No tienes cabida en nuestras vidas. En nombre de Jesucristo yo te expulso y te despojo de este lugar.
Vet inte varför min magkänsla säger att det kommer att vara några jumpscares. Och där är det någonting. Vilken rysning. Var det en tavla eller var det ett fönster? Det är ett fönster. Är det så.
Something appeared to be standing outside the window here, something that shouldn't be there. And it was not possible, since the second floor window had no balcony attached. Some believe this to be an evil spirit that was causing all of this mischief that night. Could that be so? What would you do in this situation? How terrifying. The worst part is that the activity kept continuing all night long. I'll keep an eye open for possible updates on that case.
Ja, helt 100 på det skulle vara en jumpscare där.
The next video was forwarded by Mania Trent, and it is said that in the following clip, a security camera in the Broadway Palace apartment complex in Los Angeles might have caught an actual ghost. User Pooperness has shared the following video. Apparently the user, who works as a security officer, noticed something really strange on one of the lower security cameras. In his own words, he tries to explain what he saw that night. I recorded this from the CCTV at my job, and they fired me for it. I usually don't believe in ghosts, but this video is creepy. I recorded it around midnight on March 12th.
Den där blobben där. Ser ut som rök. Förmodar.
It does look a bit strange, doesn't it? Of course you never know if it wasn't an insect or something, but many people commented on the fact that this ghost boy, or whatever it was, seemed to be walking towards the corner and then just vanished, which is really strange, wouldn't you agree?
Ofta så är det ju någon QSL.
Are we looking at a paranormal incident here? Or what was going on that night?
Brukar kunna se ut sådär då.
Hello guys, the following video was shared by a young man who stated that there have been reports of odd shadow sightings by several of his family members. Sometimes they see somebody standing in the corner of their house when nobody else should be in that room. There also have been reported bangs in the middle of the night that freak the family out ever so often. The house itself is built in a relatively rural area, and in another video the uploader shows the outside of the house. A bricked fence is guarding the premises, so chances for an intruder in the middle of the night are slim, yet of course not impossible. The night in question, the son alerted his mother, because once again, he saw somebody walking around in the morning. Let's see what was going on there.
No, walis ka. Kung saan ka nang galing, bumalik ka doon. Hindi namin kailangan dito.
Någonting som rör sig där utanför, va?
Ayan o.
Ja, skugga.
Bilis!
Alis! Kung sino ka man, walis ka.
Vad är det?
Bilis, Tami.
Det där ser weird ut.
One of the commentators states, if you look closely at the bottom of the shadow, you can literally see that it extends past the bottom of the window frame. So it's somebody walking in the house, not somebody walking outside. Could that be so? What exactly was walking, either outside or inside of the house? The shape itself looks really inhumane, really thin and wispy, wouldn't you agree? Maybe it was just a person walking around after all. It's impossible to...
Ja, är det innanför på väggarna? Jag vet inte, jag såg inte riktigt, så dålig kvalitet. Men är det innanför alltså? Då kan det lika gärna vara han som filmar eller någon bakanför som rör en hand bara. För om man kollar på skuggan så blir han ju mindre. Det är som att någon går ner för en trapp eller någonting. Så att det kan ju vara det. Men annars, jag vet inte. Om det är någonting som gör... Det är ju inte utanför, så det måste ju vara något innanför.
Say, but it definitely leaves one wondering.
Lite knepig.
Next has been uploaded by Taryn Deffen, and she shared the following due to her rising concerns. Taryn states, "This thing has been making contact of some sort with 2 of my kids. It started out talking to the 2-year-old, and it keeps her up every night. She's usually laughing and talking with it, but one night we heard her telling it no and to go away. but it never went away.
Hemskt när det är barn som
My
är
son
inblandade.
thought he heard me in the room talking to her, but I wasn't there. We were told to burn nettle salt and Palo Santo, so we did. But it kept going out and wouldn't stay lit. Every time we tried to light it, a song would come on by itself on the radio. It would play for 5 seconds and then turn off, and it kept doing that. It would stop until we tried to burn that stuff again. The song is silly, but it is All American Rejects, Move Along and Leave Me Alone. Those songs are not even on our playlist. Every night I see a ton of orbs. I counted over 25 in a 6 minutes time frame, and it looks like the 2-year-old can see the orbs as well, and she watches them fly by around the room. Do any of you have any advice for us? Let's take a look at Terrence capture.
Flytta. Oh, what the fuck is that? Oh, what
A
is...
humanoid shape can be
What
seen,
the-
standing next to the 2 crypts. The head is looking upwards, and that thing seems to be in mid-walk, crouched forward a bit. A Class A capture of this apparition for sure. Should this be a real image? What
Ja,
can
vad
you
är
see
det?
here? If this isn't a hoax, of course, a person in some form of onesie.
Ser ut som en
Could it be
skulle kunna vara en
paranormal
kvinna.
anomaly that likes to talk to the little children? I wonder if this thing is attached to anybody living in this house, or what caused this activity to unfold in the first place.
Det är creepy.
Analyze a video that was recorded by Juan Lastra, a truck driver from Argentina that was on a nightly trip with his rig to deliver some merchandise. Juan has mounted a dashcam to the window of his truck for security purposes, a common sight nowadays. After all, you never know if you might be involved in an accident or other incident that requires you to have some evidence on hand. The following night, this camera captured a really interesting incident, to say the least. He was on a regular route, and nothing strange had transpired during any of his prior nightly road trips. However, this was about to change. At the time of this recording, Juan noticed something on the road, but didn't really know what was going on. He decided to check the recording out after he had arrived home the following night, and then he saw this.
No! Oh shit! Åh, mitt hjärta. Ser ut som en person som
A
springer.
black object is running across the road. It certainly does not look like an animal.
Nej.
And it just passes milliseconds before the truck would hit it. So what could this mysterious shape be? One states that he doesn't believe it to be a bug on the windshield, for example. After all, he can see a shadow.
Reflektera här också. Jag tror att det är en människa, va? En helt vanlig människa som springer över. Som håller i någonting. Kanske en påse eller vad fan som helst. Och precis. Hinna över. Och att han är för trött för att hinna reagera ordentligt på vad det kan vara. Så tror jag att det. Jag tror inte att det är något paranormalt. Kan ju vara, men det är just med reflektionen där också. Det ser ut som någon springer. Så att, nej, jag tror det är en vanlig människa bara. Helt
on the
vanlig människa.
road that was cast
Ja,
through the
skugga också
headlights.
efter. Så att,
So, is it a paranormal entity?
nej.
Hard to say, since it is said that they don't cast shadows.
Exakt.
What's our explanation here, guys? Another mysterious video, that's for sure. Now we want to follow Patrick and Jason from the channel The Haunted Side to the St. Charles Hotel in Carson City. It was built in 1862, which means it's the oldest hotel that's still running to this day in the state of Nevada. The hotel has quite a lot of dark history, including many reported deaths and murders. Their investigation starts on the 3rd floor tonight, which apparently is a hub for paranormal activity. Based on many guest reports, they get their SLS camera ready and start to set up shop in the room of former heavyweight boxer Larry Duncan. And then they can capture something really interesting.
Okay. Good to go. Now to me, that motion looks like something a boxer would do.
Precis. Vad tänkte jag?
We got the millimeter up and running again too. It's hotter in this room.
It is hot.
Ser ut som det är någonting som slår emot honom som står där.
There's no heat in here either. It's not like somebody's in here with a heater. Look, it's at 1.1.
Could this be the spirit of Larry? Possibly going through his old motions? A sparring match in the afterlife, perhaps? Who knows? It's a pretty significant capture. Whatever Jason recorded here.
It'll do that. Is there anybody in this room with us?
Finger, wanted,
That would be.
divided.
Shortly after Patrick and Jason make it into another room, Patrick notices a strong odor that reminds him of a very pungent perfume. Only seconds after, he feels a tap on his hip. What's really significant about this, though, is what the camera captures just inches away from him in the window.
Like a little touch, right? Like a little pressure. That was weird. Is that you?
Oh, det var något som gick.
Did you notice it? Let's take another look.
Åh, herregud. Där. Ja.
A white mist-like shape is walking by, disappearing towards the right. How odd. Jason and Patrick both were standing in place. Nobody else was with them at the time. Another former resident, perhaps, that wanted to make its presence known. The energy then keeps rising in this room, and the air feels so thick that both decide to exit, but leave one of their camcorders behind. They had no idea that another magnificent event would be captured just moments after them leaving the room. A strange light anomaly, just moments before another white shadow is disappearing into the bathroom. What's your opinion? Could all of these events be explainable? Reflections, perhaps? Or was it all caused by some guests that never checked out? Mysterious.
Sånt där man vill vara med om själv.
The following was sent by Franklin, and the story goes that the woman in the picture basically just tried to take a selfie of her for another family member. Her husband was at work at the time this picture was taken. However, somehow something appeared right behind her that freaked her out quite a bit in the end.
Vad är det där för något? Ser ut som en alien.
It looks like a man in a shirt, but the facial features are a bit off. It's not possible for it to be something from the outside either, since this figure seems to be standing right in front of the window. From the inside though, not much is known about the backstory of this house, or if the family had lost somebody recently, but this image is definitely chilly, no matter what the...
Har de en familjemedlem som såg ut sådär? Skulle jag bli lite orolig faktiskt. De där ögonen ser ju uppenbarligen ut som någonting som är från en annan planet. Med tanke på hur liten figuren är. Du ser att ja, det är som en alien ungefär. Jag har ju in här, ser ut som en liten mun också. Det måste ju ha varit någonting i bakgrunden.
Circumstances were, don't you think? User Raphael445 has shared the following surveillance footage on Reddit. He explains that one night his uncle saw two men appearing out of nowhere right outside their property, which was reason enough for him to get outside and tell them that his property was out of limits for them. What was a bit strange though is the fact that these men did not move once after they had appeared, and they could only be seen for certain moments before they were gone again. Sounds strange. Let's take a look.
Ja, just det. Det här klippet har vi varit med 2 gånger tidigare.
And this is the moment when his uncle is talking to these two guys, but they don't react, which is really odd.
Så det var någon glitch eller någonting i...
Clearly looks like there's 2 men standing, doesn't it? But let's think rationally. What else could that be? Some people say that it just could be some regular shadows, but where would that light come from? And it's pretty suspicious that they would disappear once the flashlight...
Alltså, det är ju inte skuggor. Han viftar ju och försöker prata bort dem, så det måste ju ha varit... Eller, ja, varit, men alltså det är 2 personer. Och sen att de bara försvinner är jäkligt weird.
light hits them.
Den här är knepig.
What is your explanation for that?
Men han ser ju uppenbarligen någonting. Och så är det borta, va?
The team of Resonance Paranormal visited the infamous Waverly Hills Hospital, in which they think they might have picked up a shadow person that was not seen at the time, and that also could not have been explained. Initially, they were investigating the premises and had some newer people with them that never had been in this facility before, so everybody was kinda excited at the time. One of the group's members was giving a little informative speech in one of the rooms a little later, and everybody in there was accounted for, according to the uploader. Yet, there seemed to be somebody in the back, walking by the door, and again, that person wasn't seen at the time, nor was there anybody else in that hallway.
Sometimes I can walk through this place and it's like a big old empty building, and then it's like someone flips a switch all of a sudden, and it's a big old creepy building.
Question.
Yes, ma'am.
Have you ever been frightened?
I got frightened about 3 months
där var
ago
det.
when I was doing a
Dörröppningen.
sweep 4 a.m. Make sure the building was clear, make sure everyone was out.
Have you seen it? There's clearly a dark apparition standing in the doorway. Our host is explaining next why he thinks that this could not have been one of his team members.
Kan ju dock ha varit någon annan. Så var nyfiken på vad de gjorde.
Just prior to this, I'm in the back of the room, and as I walk towards the front of the room, I'm able to document the presence of all of our team members and our tour guide in this space, with the exception of one investigator, Phil, who's down the hallway taking some photographs. And as you can see him in this doorway, you can clearly see light and dark values that define who he is. Even as he steps back into the door frame here, we still see those light and dark values, and we can tell that we're looking at a person. Here's a side-by-side comparison. On the left-hand side, you see the shadow figure, and on the right, our investigator, Phil. And on the top frames, I've done nothing to lighten these up, but you can clearly see those light and dark.
Det här gillar jag. När sådana som gör de här alltså, paranormala undersökningarna gå in och förklara. Och man får se att de verkligen vill debanka. Får se så att det inte är någon annan person. Det syns ju uppenbarligen att det inte är den andra kollegan hans, utan det är en mörkare person. Men det kan ju lika gärna vara en person med mörka kläder, som jag sa, som kan vara nyfiken på att höra dem håller på att prata och gå dit och kika in bara för att se vad de gör. Men det här gillar jag. Det är det man själv vill göra sen när man själv ska ut och undersöka ställen. Få debanka.
Dark values. You can clearly see that we're looking at Phil here. You can see his pants, his shirt, which turns up white in the infrared light. You can see the straps from his backpack, and you can see his camera and the hat that he's wearing on his head. This detail does not exist on the figure on the left. On the bottom, I've lightened it up substantially so you can see this difference even clearer.
I definitely think that it is very likely that they came across a real shadow figure in the back.
Inte omöjligt.
What are your thoughts about it? I find it's truly magnificent.
blir dock ljusare där på slutet när han börjar gå in över förbi sidan alltså.
The next video was found on Tony Ferguson, the Ghost Whisperer, which by many sources is one of the most haunted places in the area. Tony had permission from the owners one afternoon to perform an EVP session all on his own. What made him particularly interested in this was the claims that the spirit of a child could be heard on the upper levels of the museum. After a few minutes, his voice recorder captured the following. Could this be the spirit of the child that some say would be roaming this place? But there's even more. As he decided to take a deeper look into the rooms of this old museum, there seemed to be an anomaly that this time even appeared in front of his camera.
Keep your eye out for the top right hand corner. Can you see the anomaly that shoots past? I'll replay it again.
Really odd. I'm not sure about how credible Tony is in general, but it almost looks like a hand and maybe some fingers.
So I turn the camera around and again the same anomaly appears.
Nah.
If it was his own hand is unclear, but he pointed it out, so let's just give him the benefit of the doubt here. Can you see something else? The same day, Tony also shared a really curious clip that he caught on a local graveyard that apparently was located in the same area, so it is believed at least. Tony thinks that he might have caught another figure coming out of the graves.
Det kan det vara att han andas bara.
Apparently it was the only interesting capture that night. Is it just an insect? Or are we looking at something more paranormal
Det
here?
är svårt att svara på faktiskt. Det där kan vara mycket. Det kan vara... Ja. Från utandning kan det vara.
On a trip to an old castle, namely the Hurst Castle in Hampshire, Tony Ferguson caught a really creepy looking thing peeking out of one of the windows. He states, "While we were there, I really felt like something was following me from room to room, but your mind can play tricks on you, so I tried to ignore it. But when I watched the video back, I was shocked. It's quite a scary looking figure. I didn't see the figure until I watched the footage back. Now, what could he come up with?"
Det ser ut som att det är någonting där i alla fall.
It clearly looks like an apparition is stepping forward into the window, and we can almost make out an eye. Was it maybe a former prisoner's spirit?
Eller en person bara som är där och samma anledning som dem.
If it wasn't an apparition, what else could it have been? It certainly was no employee. Let me know what you guys think. Tony is sure that he even could capture another apparition moments after asking the spirit world to please manifest in the window if anything is there with him. So, what do we think about that one? Just another confirmation for paranormal energy.
Samma sak där kan vara utandning också.
The following was another nightly recording, which was captured by a security guard who was surveilling the cameras at a local graveyard. Something really odd appeared on the side of the screen, right in front of a particular set of graves. Rumor has it that it were several ghosts that were appearing in front of their eternal resting place.
Det där ser ut som det skulle kunna vara reflektioner från något ljus. Faktiskt.
It's interesting since these shapes have several sizes. and I personally don't believe that we can explain these sightings by assuming that it was just insects. Your thoughts?
Jag tror inte att det är insekter. Jag tror mer på att det är som att du har en lampa där borta. Så tror jag att det kan vara någon reflektion från lampan mot kameralinsen. Då kan du få den där typen av reflektion. Det är vad jag tror. Just att det rör sig som i en båge också. Beroende på vad han har för lins, givetvis.
Thank you so much for watching, guys.
Så då hörni, det var dagens video, 10 skrämmande videos som du inte kan titta på ensam. Jag vet inte, det var lite jumpscares igen, men jätteläskigt var det ju inte. Jag hoppas ni gillar den i alla fall. Glöm inte bort gilla, dela och kommentera om ni hittar någonting spännande i videon eller klippet, så det vill kommentera. Annars, ha en fortsatt trevlig dag, så ses vi förhoppningsvis på torsdag igen. Jag håller tummarna. Så ses vi då. Ha det gott nu. Hej hej.